Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on Building Greatness, the Warrior Way, a Westcliff University Athletics podcast, brought to you in part by our 5 C's. And win. What's important now? As always, I'm joined by our SID, Chase Dodge. How's it going, kid? And I'm Will Smith, your Assistant AD of Operations, back with the What's What in Athletics and Culture. Let's check in and get into the game.
Welcome back, Warriors fans. Thank you for joining us on our Westcliff Athletics podcast. Apologies about the hiatus from our last episode till now. We had a lot of great things happen in Westcliff Athletics that we just can't wait to share with you over the course of this summer and into the future for next season. I would like to take time to introduce a new co-host to the pod that will be joining me on talking about everything Warriors related with Westcliff Athletics. Please give a great round of applause for our new co-host, Will Smith. Will, welcome to the pod, man.
Hey, Chase, thank you so much, brother. Great to be a part of already a great show. Hopefully I can fill these shoes the best that I can, but super excited to discuss the happenings of Westcliff with you periodically.
Oh, I can't wait, Will. It's going to be a great time. All right, Will. I mean, I'm interested to know, and I think our fans are interested to know as well. I mean, first of all, how long have you been at Westcliff? Like, when did you get hired on? And kind of just like, let's talk a little bit about your background. What is Will Smith about?
Well, actually, I came to Westcliff. It's believe it or not, it's almost a year now.
A year already? Dang.
Yeah, I think I'm month 11, going into 12, and I guess really, it was just been a lot of fun with all the championships and things that we've been going through this year. The time just moved. I came in from a different industry. I work in retail, and then I also did quite a bit of work in account exec as an account exec in Las Vegas. I was lucky enough to get a call from our dean of athletics about an opportunity to be part of your staff, as a matter of fact, on the SID side. So it was just such an opportunity. I just couldn't pass it up. I mean, and then when I got here, I feel like the luckiest kid ever. We start following through with all these championships. I mean, really, if you're going to join an organization and, you're hoping to do big things, and then all of a sudden it's championship after championship after championship. So I feel like I'm just the luckiest kid ever. I'm the luckiest kid at the new school. I hope to be here a long time. I hope to bring some energy, some of my know-how, and then a unique perspective. I'm also on the AD staff in operations, so I hope to give you guys insights on what's going on behind the scenes and just be the best counterpart that I can.
Well, and I can't wait. I mean, we've been working together for, I didn't even realize it was almost a year of us working together, but yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, it's a lot of great success with Westcliff Athletics, but I want to know a little bit more about you. You just have like a great like podcast voice. Like, I'm just curious, like, have you ever done some podcast work in the past, man?
Some minor podcasting. Obviously, over the pandemic, I think we were all kind of locked in the house, trying to figure out how to be productive and learn new things. And I just felt like this was an opportunity for me to have a voice. And I decided that I needed to try to train it up a little bit. So I'm not a professional in any way, shape, or form. I do like this platform. I do love this genre. And then I love speaking to great people that have something to say. So it was a natural fit for me. And then I've obviously said coming on to Westcliff, and you guys already have an established podcast, how much that the AD staff is pouring into the SID department was just, it just seemed like it was an easy choice for me to jump in and hopefully be a part of a great team. And it seems like you guys are. And now being here, I know that you guys are. This has just been just wonderful for me, honestly. I'm so lucky. I really am.
I mean, I like to say, like, I talk with every single member of the people who are attached to the SID team. We have a lot of fun. I mean, we cover all of our sports here. We we help promote all of our student athletes. We love postseason action. We love, you know, at the end of it, we just love sports in general. Like we can talk about sports until our time slot is maxed out at whatever, like 8 hours or something like that. I know our fans are probably not going to want to sit through 8 hours of us talking to each other about sports, but when you're passionate about sports, like you can ramble on about debates, about current sports going on and stuff like that. I mean, it's always fun, man.
Selfishly, I think you're 100% right. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of argument, a little bit of banter.
Oh, I
And
know.
when it comes to sports, I mean, it's the best place to be. It's a safe place. At the end of the day, we're on the same team. We're encouraged by the same things, but hey, we all have our favorites when it comes to this sports game. So this is going to be super fun, super exciting, and hopefully with our producer Brandon, he's going to give us some hard hitting questions to ask some of our guests. Obviously, we've got a podcast coming up with the Dean of Athletics. This should be a good one. I'm really excited to peel back the layers with that and really see what that gentleman has to say.
Hey, and you know what, Will, what you're gonna expect from B moving forward, is he's gonna ask you some hard hitting questions. He's put me on the spot time and time again, and I had to answer truthfully and honestly right there in that moment. So we always have a good time. We always speak our mind honestly, for our athletes. I mean, I can't wait for everyone listening about our next segment coming up. About we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk with our dean of athletics, Shawn Harris, and we're gonna talk to him about some hard questions, the trajectory of Westcliff athletics, anything new that you might not have been aware of that we're going to ask, and we're going to see what he answers on. And then also in the next podcast episode, we're coming up soon, I think a week or two, depending, is we're just going to talk about the 2022-23 season as a whole, like what surprised us, which teams stood out, and overall, just basically what everyone who's tuning into this podcast, we're just going to be talking about Westcliff athletics. We're going to be talking about sports, man.
That's
And I can't wait for everyone to join in, man.
that's not really typical. I mean,
I
how
know.
do you get that kind of access to the dean of athletics? They're going to send their underling. They may send a coach to talk to you, but to spend some time with the architect of what we're doing here, that's a pretty big thing. And then, of course, leading right into the season review. I mean, goodness. I mean, I've got a couple that were that pulled on my heartstrings this season. Our track and field did an excellent job, obviously, with a bumpy start. We've got some great championships to discuss. This is going to be an exciting year and an even more exciting review.
Oh, I can't wait, Will.
Hello, listeners. I don't mean to break in here. I'm Brandon, the aforementioned producer. I just had a couple of quick questions for our two co-hosts here before we kick off the show today. So who would like to answer?
Sounds serious.
Dude, I know B's normally the silent partner behind the scenes, so this is a great. I can't wait.
I'm swooping in. Who'd like to answer first? Who'd like to answer first?
I'll take first.
Right,
Hey, what's the
Chase?
question, B? One more time. What's the
you'll
question?
You'll find. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll have you follow me, since I know a little thing or two about B's rapid questions off the cuff. So I'm gonna go first, and we're gonna see what B has to ask us today.
Your lead, sir. Do you think?
Real quick, straightforward question. I'm gonna ask you both pretty much the same thing, but I just to get a taste of our dean of athletics. He's a real special human being, and he is quick to leave a lasting impression, especially when I first met him. So talk about the first time you met Shawn Harris, and what did you think of him? What was your first impression after that first meeting? Go ahead, Chase.
My first, I think, I mean, it's been a while. It's been like 4 years. I think the one conversation I think I had with Shawn that really stuck out to me, and I think he'll say the same, is when I started going through the process about getting hired. So for context purposes, I was still in school. I hadn't graduated yet. And I heard through a coach that just like, hey, there's this new school out in Irvine that's trying to start an athletic department. They might need some help. And so I came in, did the interview, stuff like that. And then through the first season, like we had our first men's soccer game was against Vanguard, who is where I went to school, is where I started doing all my SID stuff. But at that time, I was still a student worker. And when I got hired, I was actually part-time because I told Shawn and I told Katie, I was like, listen, I still got some other obligations I got to clear up first, or like clean up first before I actually focus on Westcliff full time. And Westcliff was playing Vanguard for men's soccer. And then afterwards, we just had a conversation in the parking lot. And one of the things that stood out to me is that when he says something, he's gonna do it. So when he says, like, he told me, he's just like, hey, listen, I want you to be the SID at Westcliff. I will help mold you and shape you into this profession. And looking back now, that was 4 years ago. It has come true. I've grown into this profession. I've gotten a lot more comfortable about who I am and how I view this business. And that's all because of someone who I saw something in me, took a chance on me. Because I'm going to be honest, when it comes to this business, he could have gotten someone who was a lot more experienced, who had graduated before, and took them over myself. And he took a chance on me, and I owe him everything from what I've learned and how I've how I'm becoming a leader for the SID team, and how I'm helping prepare even Will, Francisco, like helping them out in this profession. It was just so, yeah. Basically, the first thing that comes out to Shawn is when he says he's going to do something, he's a man of his word. And if it's not immediate results, he likes to say that he thinks in a bigger picture. So it might not happen right away, but it's on his mind, and the process to get there will eventually come to fruition. So yeah, that's the first thing I would say about our Dean of Athletics, Shawn Harris.
And one of the other things you said there, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Will, but you noticed how Shawn has a real eye for talent in terms of who he hires and who he brings on to help, and he's not afraid to necessarily go out of the box to find that right person. And with that in mind, how Will was talking earlier about, he didn't come from sports, but he was perfect for sports, and Shawn kind of slotted him in, and there you go. The rest is history. Will has integrated seamlessly with us. So, Will, what did you think of Shawn the first time you met him? Were there any lasting impressions?
Mine is a little bit unique, and I think you guys are going to be a little surprised. But I first met Shawn, believe it or not, in the late 1900s, as the millennials like to call it. But I was 20 years old, young man, coming out of a tumultuous teenage time, getting my head on my shoulders, trying to be an adult and grow. And I just happened to walk into a gym and connected with him. Small conversations, a little bit of basketball, a little bit of just understanding who I was as an individual. And the next thing you know, fast forward 25 years, we've been great friends, colleagues. We've worked together. As a matter of fact, my first foray into any sports was into what he had called Erudition Leadership Academy. This was a small academy that they did based in sports, specifically basketball, that taught not just the game, but what it meant to lead in the community, to be a upstanding citizen, to do all of those basic things. I would even say as almost like a father figure, at a time when I really needed it. And over the years, we've been able to work together. We were both in real estate for quite a long time. I was a real estate appraiser for about 15 years, did a lot of brokering and business with him, as well as the Leadership Academy, helping him out with sports. And then it really gave me the emphasis to move into coaching. I coached football for about 7-8 years. And some of those skill sets that I learned by working with him kind of translated. And every time I've gone into a transition in my life, he always seemed to be right there. And when you say that he always kind of sees in you what you don't see in yourself, I promise you, I was extremely rough around the edges at 20 years old. extremely rough around the edges. And he took a liking to me, and we had a relationship. And honestly, it's only been good for me. This opportunity was a little bit different. I do have a successful business in Nevada, but as the years have gone on, I was looking for something more. Just period, point blank. I wanted something more, something I could be a part of that I felt like was important, that affected people outside of just monetary gain. And this was an opportunity to, one, give back to college sports, to understand what it meant for a student athlete to maneuver through those. And I couldn't wait to actually be a part of this. I mean, I know we do our everyday work, but what we are doing in the greater scheme of things is really changing lives. Every student athlete that comes through our athletics department is touched by things that our producer has done, that Chase has done, that their coaches have done. It's an amazing opportunity, and I just couldn't help to jump in with both feet. I was lucky, like I said, I was lucky enough to meet him early, so he's always kind of been there for me. And at the age I am now, I won't tell him myself, but every time that there's been a transition in my life, he's been one that I could pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that?" And the last time I went to transition, he said, "What do you think about coming in and working with me?" And I've been waiting on that call for a long time. So it was a long time coming, but glad to be here. And he's been, like I said, he's been an excellent part of my life. And then obviously a part of this school. I can't ask for a better partner.
That's outstanding. Will, a quick follow-up. Did you play football?
I did play just middle school and high school. My parents divorced right at my 9th, 10th grade year, right as I got my scholarship to De La Salle. And I'll be honest with you, ended up in Nevada with not a lot of supervision and all the things that, I ended up in Las Vegas. So let's just put it out where it was. And I learned then what I'm trying to help with now is without the village, without great counterparts, great coaches, great staff, it's really hard to make a collegiate athlete. It's really hard to get involved in collegiate sports and then hopefully get into the pros at some day. So this was an opportunity to kind of turn the clock back on what I didn't have and maybe be a help to someone moving forward. Just an awesome opportunity for me. It's been everything for me up to this point to be a part of this team.
Well, that's great to hear. It sounds like we're going to have quite a few football discussions on this podcast. I will say all of us played.
I played football. My biggest sport though, I trained martial arts for almost 35 years, and I taught fighters. I was on the ground floor of MMA before they even called it MMA. And then yeah. So if it's sport related, I pretty much like it, or I'm willing to learn.
All right, fellas. Well, thank you for letting me swoop in on your podcast, and let's get this thing started. All right.
All right, can't wait. Thanks for chirping in, B. We definitely enjoyed those questions, man.
Appreciate you, B. The Westcliff Athletics podcast has a very, very special guest. We are lucky to have them with everything that's gone on in the last few years. We thought it was important to get him on here and ask some tough questions. So we have our Dean of Athletics, Shawn Harris. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Yo.
It's a great afternoon to have you here. I know it's been a busy schedule that you tried to make time for us, so we do appreciate it. We would love to ask you some really tough questions on what the future of Westcliff looks like.
Tough, huh? You consider these questions going to be tough?
There'll be a couple softballs there, but there may be some hard-hitting questions that you might have to explain, but that's why we have you here. We know you know the answers.
Hey, at Westcliff, we don't have no white towel, so it ain't nothing tough, okay? You know, difficult takes a day, impossible takes a week. Baby.
Don't even know.
Bring it. That's what we do. 5 C's all day, baby.
Well, with all the efforts that you put out there, and with that 5 C's mentality, obviously the championships have come in hot and heavy. And a big question that really people want to know is how close are we possibly to moving to D2?
You know what? I think the D2 transformation is whenever we decide, that's what's best for us, to be totally honest. And first and foremost, the championships, I appreciate you acknowledging our student athletes and all of our coaches and administrators who make those things happen. For me, my only goal is to be a game changer in the stories of others, right? So for me, it's pretty simple. Just service, provide a definitely service. But to answer your question, D2, I'm chomping at the bit. I mean, not to look over D2, but my sights have been set on what makes this a D1 program. That's been my sights from the beginning. And although we were birthed in a pandemic, which a lot of people just, can't even fathom that, we got 2 years of competition. 2020 was really our first year of competition under my leadership. Even though I arrived at 2019, it was just cleaning up. Spring of 2019 is when I arrived. It was spring cleaning, just making sure we tighten up all the loose boats and figure out who was drilling holes, who was rowing the boat, and so on and so forth. And 2020 hits, and then we get hit in the pandemic, and the whole world globally shifted. So our transformation, has been predicated on the economy. Not on what we need to do internally, because I believe we have the best staff on the globe. I have the best athletic administrators. I have the best support staff, academics, and so on and so forth. It's just making the right decisions that make sense, with our university as a whole, not just the athletics. So I'm ready to go, to be totally honest with you. Last year would have been ideal, but, just accessing the climate and where athletics is still getting back to, right? A return back to athletics, and not just us, the other universities that we're partnering with, right? They're making shifts and moves, within our governing body of the NAIA and the conference. So it just made sense to hold serve or shoot for par, as we allow the economy and our other institutions figure out what they were doing. And then, so we made a decision to burn the boats at Westcliff Athletics. We just go all out on what we do best, and that is service our student athletes and give our coaches the pathway to achieve success. And I think we accomplished that, this past last 2 years. So I'm ready to go, to be honest with you.
Been pretty amazing what you've been able to do. And I've heard you use this analogy about burning the boats and really leaving yourself no alternative but to move up. And it seems like everybody took that message to heart. And obviously it's showing with the success the athletic department's had so far.
Yeah, it's been a total buy-in from everybody at the university. It's a university thing. It's just not an athletics thing. So, it starts from the top with our fearless leader, Dr. Anthony Lee, to our janitor who services, the campus. Everybody has to be bought in to our 5 C's process. And I'm truly ecstatic about where we're heading, and what we accomplished. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
All right, Shawn. Hey, here comes the next softball question. This one came from one of our viewers. He just wanted to ask this question, and it's just, hey, how come you haven't won AD of the year yet? Like, why do you think that is?
You know what? Hey, you only can control what you can control. For me, I feel like I've won AD of the year because I see my student athletes success. I see us throwing up the W's. I see us bringing in, 12 championships, in a calendar year, 3 national championships, so I feel like, I am AD of the year. Why I haven't got that acknowledgement? You have to ask them. I know that I put in the work. I don't believe it's another AD on any level, D1, it don't matter. Grade school, I'm competing with all of them. I feel like I'm just as good as anybody at what I do. So I leave that up to the people who vote for that. For me, it's just once I see my coaches, having an opportunity to achieve success, I see the student athletes enjoying their student experience and buying into the 5 C's and the way we impact the community and all those things. I believe that I am, him, so to speak. I am him, but, I can't worry about, the naysayers or the haters. They're gonna do what they do. So we're just gonna keep stepping, be a big stepper in this situation, and we do it all with
Don't be
humility.
apologetic. Can't be apologetic about your greatness, right? If
Yeah,
you do it, you stand up for it. If you didn't do it, you stand up for that too as well.
yeah, absolutely. But with that being said, I'm really humble. So it's all about everybody else. It's not about me. So, but I appreciate that viewer having concern with that, and maybe I'll hang one of those one of these days. But the goal is to keep hanging these championship banners. So we'll keep doing that until they stop us.
I mean,
There's
I
going
mean
to be
the
stopped sometime soon.
yeah, I mean the award of 80 of the years is simply like service of our student athletes. That's the biggest award in and of itself. I mean, at the end of the day, we just do our work because we're servicing our student athletes, and at the end of the day, that's the award for a successful season.
Agreed. And nothing makes me happy to see our student athletes and our coaches and all administrators when I look in that eye and I can in their eyes and I can see that tingle, that sparkle, saying, hey, I'm fulfilling my passion. I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. And then the ultimate championship was graduation. Like, last year we had our first valedictorian. We have strong consideration this year. We have a former student athlete who's been with us, Emilio, who's going to be speaking at commencement this year. Like, we're always on the stage, whatever stage it is, we're there. And I feel like we have the best, game time management, at any level, and our cornerstone of our athletic department is our SID team. That's the first department that I put together when we came, I came to Westcliff, and they give a voice to the voiceless, right? And all the human interest stories that you see that they're able to depict in video, through the pen, writing, whatever the case may be. It's remarkable, and I'm truly blessed to be a part of it.
Very much so. With that being said, there's so much energy in the school, in the athletics department. We've watched everybody kind of just turn up. The energy is high. The momentum is there. What does that mean for our next 2 years?
Oh, okay. Like, you mean what is my vision?
100%. Where do you see us heading? Obviously, we talked about the D2, possibly D1. But the next 2 years will probably be critical with all the momentum that you built up over this last year with these 12 championships. And we just want to know, where do you see it going?
Yeah. So, with D2 and D1, they have stipulations that you have to adhere to be able to make those advancements. So D1's a little bit further out because of the stipulations and processes that they have in place. D2 is more obtainable. We've had those stipulations pretty much satisfied the last couple of years. Only one that's been pending is multiple year contracts with facilities that will be satisfied this year. So we're ready to go. The next couple of years, I just see we went from desperation to domination. Really, that's really what sums up the last 2 years. And I think we don't do anything any differently than be better for our student athletes. So, we asked a lot of our student athletes at Westcliff. It's a unique experience. It's a non-traditional campus and environment. We expect our student athletes to excel as young adults early, so they have a lot of things they need to accomplish from a life, skill standpoint, along with, performing in the classroom and performing in the field of play. So it's not for the faint-hearted, so we do a really good job of recruiting and making sure that we find student athletes that embrace our mission statement for the university, our 5 C's, and making sure that they're built for the life change that we expect out of them. Because when they leave us, we want them to be equipped for the world and for whatever's next for them in their athletic journey.
Taking students from desperation to domination. I think that has got to go on a t-shirt somewhere. It's an amazing concept. And obviously you're doing that. It's not just the championships, but it's also the grade point average. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. When I first took over the helm here at athletics, it wasn't an athletic department. They had a club team, right? They had like 3 or 4 club teams. We were independent, schedule, not sanctioned, on a non-compete, list. Anything, all the things you don't want to be on. And in the classroom, the GPA was 0.95.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the last couple of years, as you know, collectively, cumulative GPA has been 3.0. We just finished that this year with 2.96. So we missed our goal this year by 0.04.
That's well above what the status quo, isn't it?
Oh yeah, NCAA standards is 2.0, and this other athletic departments are tickled to death if just one sport is over a 3.0. We got bigger goals, so we look at making sure our whole entire athletic department is succeeding. That's the good thing about our athletic department, and one thing that I take pride in. We're good in everything. I didn't want to be an athletic department or operate an athletic department. Was just good at, or being known for being good at just one sport. We're good across the board. Our women in sports, really carry the weight for athletics. For us, we have some of the best women in sports that you can ever think about. Our cheer squad has co-ed, cheer squad has some of the best athletes that you can even dream to have just in your athletic department. And like I said, we're beaming in all directions, and it's just really gratifying to see our student athletes take the next step this upcoming year as champions. I mean, if we didn't win it this year, we was in the thick of it, right? We either lost in the finals or we were in the quarterfinals or whatever the case may be. But all of our programs were in the postseason, and how many times you can say that, that your programs pretty much made a postseason. And I could be wrong, maybe 1 or 2 wasn't, but I think everybody was, to be totally honest. But
every single sport that we sponsored, if there was a postseason available, every single one made it. And everyone pretty much made it to the quarterfinals, finals, semifinals. So like it was a lot of Warriors in postseason.
Well, to your question, about me being the athletic director of the year, match that up with somebody. If somebody comes in and can match what we just said, I like to meet them.
Tough act to follow, sir. Tough act to follow.
All right, Shawn. Now, this was a personal question for me. I kind of wanted to know your thoughts, because I'm kind of left in the dark sometimes, because it's neat to know, and it's in our audience. I think they want to know, sir, is one of the things is, are we going to get an indoor facility that will act as like our home court for basketball and volleyball coming soon? Is that on the docket by any chance?
It is on the docket. I am in some negotiations to do that. I just don't know exactly. I haven't pulled the trigger. Like, I'm close. I'm very close. I've been sitting on some valuable information. I'm probably like 95% there. Every day it goes up a percentage or 2. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best for us long term, even though this would be a short-term decision, this next move, and then it'll parlay into something that's bigger. So that's the reason why I've been kind of reluctant on sharing anything. I just kind of been keeping it close to the vest, so to speak. But, you always want your next move to be your best move. And I don't think, any moves that I made so far, and for me, I get on my knees when I make these decisions, and what I walk away with is what I walk away with. And I've been ecstatic about the blessings that I've been able to receive with being in and having discernment, right, on some of these decisions and making these moves. This is why they got me here, right? To make these decisions. So yes, we're gonna make a move from where we are indoor to another facility for sure. It will be better than what we have, in some respects for a totality of service in our whole athletics department. It's still missing some things. So I wouldn't say it's going to be a home, but we're like a really big snake that's going to shed its skin to go into another skin. Does that make sense? You know, that's kind of, that's kind of it, you know.
Sometimes you need the transition piece
Right.
in order to make that next step up. I mean, and that kind of goes into the it's kind of a follow-up. Would you agree that we just outgrown our partners at J-Law? I mean, obviously, we've had a great partnership up to this point. A lot of great things have gone on in those buildings, but have we just outgrown J-Law?
Now, I love J-Law's backdrop, right? Like that backdrop is sick on video and different things of that nature. You know what? I mean, that's something that I will lead to the expert, you know, Chase. Like, you know, Chase Dodge is my dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been my guy since even before he graduated, you know, college. You know, I'm talking like Chase ain't on the other end of this, but you know, I'm just talking in the third person here. But you know, that's my guy. Like, I believed in him before anybody else, you know, was believing. And I said, hey, we're gonna rock with him. And I've been rocking with him ever since. And I love what he does for me, you know, for game time management, but his passion and enthusiasm, you know, for our student athletes is unmatched. And so he deserves a better location. He deserves more help. I try to provide, you know, all the resources possible, right, for game time management. And, you know, that's the reason why we're probably one of the few that actually have a backup SID on staff right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, who probably could go somewhere and be a SID, right? You know, like those kind of compliments. And then look at our SID department. It's probably one of the biggest departments in athletics, especially at the NAIA level. I don't think it's any bigger, like, because I believe in this whole process, right? So I think we've outgrown J-Law because our talent that we have at Westcliff Athletics have outgrown J-Law. Like, they deserve, like, we deserve to have a real TV timeout. That's the goal, right? You know, we want to be in television productions, you know. I got Brandon Peterson, who is going to be in charge of that. We're going to look at really navigating TV and commercials and all of that stuff this year. You know, so yeah, man, like we got a lot of big things, big aspirations, right? And I think we achieve them. I mean, I think we got a good track record of doing what we say we're going to do. So yeah, I would say that because of our talent of our staff, yes, we have. And where were we going is going to be really strategic because of our location and our resources. But I'm running, you know, you can check the research on this, but I don't know of any 100% fully virtual athletics departments.
It's unheard of.
So if you know one, because I'm talking about, when I say fully 100% virtual, I'm talking about staff that doesn't have offices or facilities and, you know, that's dedicated to the athletic department. And I'm talking about facilities that are not dedicated, right? And still, we've been able to dominate those who have those toys, right? And those benefits. And the reason why is because we're extremely hungry, but we have a lot of talent. We have great communication.
Amazing communication.
Yeah. And we will have some facilities and things coming up. You know, that is a priority, but is it necessary? You know, for me, it's like, I've never personally ever had an office at Westcliff University. Did I have an opportunity? Yeah, but I would never take an office if I know my staff doesn't have an office. So, you know, I would never do those things. But, you know, I opted to try to increase the wages of my staff versus my personal satisfaction, you know, and things of that nature. So, you know, it's just making sure we put the right things in place. And, you know, it's a guy at LMU, his name is Coach Stan, you know, where my son Dominic has transferred to. And he has this saying that I really like, and it's relationships before championships, you know, and that's real. That's how it is with us, you know? Yeah, you know, and I take it a step further with Westcliff Athletics. It's family before championships, because we all family here. You know, that's what it is from day one. You don't get a chance to be a part of this if you ain't family.
And what does family stand for? I've heard you say this a few times,
Yeah,
and
family
it
for us
means
stands
something.
for forget about me, I love you. So forget about me, I love you simply means that I care about the next person alongside of me more than I care about myself. So that's our family before championships. You got to buy into that. That means you have to be selfless, right? To be a part of what we're doing, because we know that no man, no woman accomplish anything great alone. And you have to be selfless, at some point, and sacrifice for us collectively to get to where we need to be. So I'm totally ecstatic about um, the direction and trajectory that our athletic department is rising to.
All right, Shawn. I mean, moments ago you did talk about how we're probably one of the few athletic departments that's still doing like virtual working due to some after effects of the pandemic. My next question is for you is, do you see our athletic department ever returning to in-person working in an athletic office environment? Um, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I see that happening this year. I mean, it's a lot of virtual resources that we'll keep because it's just really time effective. I mean, and then we kind of mastered it, right? We kind of taken the virtual space and turned it up to a whole nother level. So I think that gives us some nimbleness. It allows us to have some advantages over the competition. So we'll keep some of those resources working, but I mean, we are in person when we meet for games, right? But you're
Right.
talking about day-to-day basis. Yeah,
I'm talking about like the like Monday day-to-day grind of just simply just everyone going into an office space, just putting in the work, the administrative work, like all in one setting. And I guess the reason why I brought up this question is because it seems to me like we've gotten a lot better, like you said, we're the masters of virtual stuff and communicating stuff like that. My thing is that when athletic trainers, when the admin or even the SIT team needs something from coaches, they're not relatively available in person. Like we're at the mercy of sending a text message, a phone call, or an email. And if you ignore all three, then it's kind of how do we get the info that we need right at that moment without
no,
being in person?
no, I definitely understand your concern and I acknowledge it. I do believe that it is a certain level of connectivity with human touch and interest. So we never want to get away from that for sure. But I do think we can have a fine balance between both. And if anybody's dogging you out like that, you need to put them in the chokehold. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna just ghost us like that, you can't ghost family like that. No, but seriously, seriously, no, I understand your concerns because it is cool just to be able to go over to the next office and drop something off or see someone in the hallway and have that time and space. So we definitely want to get back to actually physically giving out a high five than virtually sending it digitally. So I'm totally on board and aligned with what you're thinking. As we know, there's some real strategies also for the university to come back into return to learn, right? So we're kind of lock in step with the university, as well, with their hybrid, mission, combating all of the residual effects of the pandemic. So I think as soon as we're able to do that, we will. I see us moving probably 25 to 30% more in contact this upcoming athletic season than we were last. So we're making incremental steps. Just remember, like incremental steps is still improvement, even though we're used to taking big steps here at Westcliff Athletics. So, but I think that is the goal, and we'll make that happen.
Obviously, it's a big step to get back into a full face-to-face situation, and obviously you've built out this athletic department over the pandemic with limited resources. Obviously, like you said, you don't even have an office and everybody's virtual, so I'm sure that helps quite a bit when it comes to budgets. Now, the rumor in the mill is that we've got some budget constraints coming through this year. And how have these budget cuts or constraints negatively impacted our program for the next season?
Well, I don't think that's a rumor. I mean, it's fact. I mean, but that's fact for every athletic department. I mean, every year, any organization, whether it's, a bottom line company, for profit, whatever the case may be, the objective is always to do more with less, right? So that's the goal. So I think that's never changed. Has it been more public than in the past? Absolutely, because of the change of leadership that we've had, pretty much from the top, right? I'm a part of that strategic leadership team, with the university as well. But I mean, it's clear to everyone who works in our organization that we're growing, right? And we're growing at a fast pace, and we're growing, rapidly, and it's been good. But anytime you grow, you have gaps, right? Of development. So people need to understand that this is just what happens when you're pioneering, right? You're discovering it for the first time. I'm sure, the great explorers was feeling a little ambiguity, right, as they were going to some areas that wasn't charted on the map. And that's kind of what we're doing here at Westcliff University and in athletics, right? We're moving through, and our job should always be, can we do things efficiently, right? More efficiently than last year. But yes, we have restructured our athletics department so we can be prepared for D2, so we can be prepared for Division I, because athletics as a whole took a hit, right? During this pandemic, right? It's an in-person activity, right? Sports is in-person activity. And we saw from the pro levels all the way down to grassroots, nobody was untouched. Everybody was affected, right, by the pandemic. So even some of the biggest giants of college athletics are still wrestling with coming back, right, to what we thought was normal, right? But I think it's a new normal now, right? So I think it's just, we're just asking our athletic department, our coaches, our student athletes, our administrators. I'm asking everyone to handle hard better, right? And what does that look like? That means that you have to have an open mind, right? You have to be consistent in your communication. You have to be clear and concise about the decision makings you make every day, understanding what the ripple effect could be for those decisions and anticipate those things to happen. I mean, it's an old African proverb that says, hey, you pray for rain, but nobody planned for the mud. I'm asking us to plan for the mud, right? So we pray for all these great things, facilities and all these great things like that. But the mud part of those prayers are, you have to fill up those facilities. You have to, be staffed. You got to have activities. An empty facility doesn't do anybody any good, right? That's just a waste of money. So, I think we're just being smart about the way we go about our business so our athletic department can have sustainable success. So I believe, even though, yes, there has been some stricken in the budget, which happens every year, that's normal, right? I think me asking our leaders, which is some of our coaches, right, who I look at them being the own CEOs of their own sports, right, and our administrators and everyone to do more with less, is asking them to be fiscally responsible. And that's a part of the job, right, to be fiscally responsible so we can place money in the appropriate places for our whole athletic department to be completely successful. So that takes shared sacrifice. And I understand that not everyone is built for this journey, right? So, it's a saying that, the elevator is going to go up, but not everybody's going to go up with it, right? And then, of course, my goal is retention, right? We want everyone to see the bigger picture, but I will be remiss if I don't remind you, we don't have much turnover in our athletic department, but those who bailed out on us, who didn't believe in the vision, don't have a championship, right? They don't have a championship.
They stepped off a little too early.
Yeah, Yeah, sometimes if you don't got that front of the line pass, man, you get out of line and then, you don't get to get on the ride. And that's what happened.
Seems like
And
another credit that you could put in the athletics cap. Obviously, in the retail world, in any service industry over the last few years, they've all taken losses, 30,
yeah,
40% losses.
yeah.
So to see that happen in your own business, but still to achieve what you've been able to achieve, to build a great SID team, to build a championship mindset that did truly transition to championships is quite amazing.
Yeah, we're in the business of what have you done for me now? But let me remind everybody that during the pandemic, we did not let go one person in our athletics department.
Amazing. That's an amazing. As a matter of fact, we should take a second to really appreciate that. In every industry that I've come in contact with over this, there's no one that's gone unscathed. And to be able to not just not lose anybody, but to build it up and to start things like women's wrestling, to start futsal, to start all these other programs that weren't even on the radar yet. During that same time, again, it's a kudos to your vision and what you've done, and then obviously the work that the athletic department has put in.
Yeah, I wish I could take all the credit, but I have a phenomenal partner who's my boss, and that's Dr. Anthony Lee, who really cares about athletics. And I don't think most people understand that. He gives me the autonomy to put my stamp on this thing, but that's because we trust each other. But nothing happens without his graces, right? Without him, signing off on it. But I have to have a unique ability to actually showcase the value of athletics, right? And all the intrinsic value that it brings to our students and to our university. And our student athletes have been performing at a higher clip than many other student athletes. So they make my job easy there. But coaches who are bought into the 5Cs mentality, who believe in each other, really is the key. And that's the backbone of our athletic department. Our forget about me, I love you moniker really takes precedence in those situations where most would fold. We don't have a white towel, so we don't believe in folding. And so you don't get a chance to put on our logo if you're not bought in. So, we take that seriously here. We don't seek any comfort for any things that we fall short on. We own them, and then we keep moving forward.
Character, culture, community, commitment. And like you said, it equals championships. That 5C ingredient is something that you seem to have in everything that you do, and everything that you build into this athletic department. And obviously, it's our rallying cry. So we do appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Shawn, for giving us a little insight on those budget cuts, restraints, and I mean, just like some of the coaches, the SID team, we were caught. We were curious about it because we weren't in the know like you, but like a few of us who have been around here for a while, we've seen the growth, and we're just like, hey, we're just gonna do the best of our ability, and we're just gonna be along with the ride because at the end of the day, we love our athletic programs, we love our student athletes, and so at the end of the day, we're going to be helping servicing them first and foremost. And a part of that being that service, a few weeks ago, there was a huge announcement across the athletic department about our transition from Under Armour to Nike. Now, the question I had for you is why make that move now, and why move to Nike for this next season and current seasons going on?
Just do it, baby. Come on now.
Just do it. Okay. I mean, but there had to have been some pressing matters that Under Armour just probably wasn't living up to that you were addressing with you and the athletic administration staff. Like, what was it that finally made you move over to Nike?
Well, I had a appointment to meet with Steph Curry, and he pretty much stood me up. So because he stood me up, I was like, hey, no more Under Armour. No, seriously, I was just trying to make up something funny, but I'm corny as always, so you know that. But seriously, like, the swoosh is what it's all about, right? That was always the goal. I mean, I have a 5-year plan. We're not even in my 5-year plan all the way, right? Normally athletic departments don't see this type of success until 5 years in, right? So normally that's like the goal. And then they don't add new programs. If you look at the history of athletic departments, every 5 years they may add a department. I mean, we're a little more aggressive than that. Since the pandemic, I'm in year 4 of being the leader or building this Westcliff athletics from scratch. And we're only 2 years in competition, right? So normally you need that competition. Nike blessed us with a D1 deal, right? So they acknowledge us as being a D1 deal, and the deal was a deal that acknowledged our greatness and where we're going. So it only made sense. And I do think that in all sports, it's a different pride when you throw that swoosh on your shoulder, on your apparel than it is for any other things. And although I'm extremely grateful for Under Armour and those relationships, it's a Maryland-based company. I'm from Maryland, so I do have sentiments there because I know the impact that Under Armour puts in the communities there. So I know they're a great company, but I think a lot would agree that we took a step up, right? We took a step up, and we're thankful for it. And I saw that UCR, followed behind us. Yeah, I said it. They follow behind us. They know what we bring to the table. I saw they did a deal as well. I think CBU might have a deal, and they on the D1 level, so they get it as well. So we're right there in the thick of things with all the rest of them. And if they don't watch out, we'll be right there, with them, before too long. So I think that was just the way to go. Chase, how you feel about it?
I mean, how I feel about it, I mean, I'm stoked that we get Nike because I mean I was shooting it with being a couple other guys, and I got to be honest that Under Armour isn't really big guy friendly, like
Right.
Nike is. There's a lot more options with Nike, but also the main question I had that I thought about the reason why the move with Nike is because probably we've had some issues with gear being coming in. That might be from like residual effect from the pandemic, from the supply chain. I don't know what it is. I just noticed from talking with athletes and coaches that a lot of our gear that we've ordered has not come in on time or at all. And that's what I thought initially was the move to Nike.
I won't, to be transparent, I won't say that didn't play a role because, service is always that. I have a big, strong executive retail background. So when it comes to procurement and those type of things, I'm well versed in that. But really, it's about us ascending as a sports program, as an athletic program. I think all the companies had challenges in the pandemic. So I don't want to just single out Under Armour, and their challenges. But when you look at the big boys in the industry, right? I mean, Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour are the top three, right? Puma's making a come up, New Balance making a come up. There's probably some others, but right now the swoosh is where it's at. The great thing about it is like we can change the swoosh color, which is, a different deal than most universities. So we can change it to our branding, so we can make that swoosh whatever we want it to be. And I think that's an awesome thing. And I just think it's a great day for Westcliff Athletics to be tied in with BSN, who's our new provider. And I think the relationship will be better than what we just had with Squad Locker, to be honest with you. And with championships comes a different opportunity, right? And obligation, right, to our student athletes. And, you look good, you play good. You play good, you feel good. And when you feel good, they pay good. And we're trying to get our students NILs, baby. So that is just something that, we seen from Deion Sanders. He monikered that statement, and it's true though, right? All those things are something that student athletes strive for, and I think those student athletes going to look really good in their Nike gear.
Size 13, sir. Size 13. Just so you know, in case you were wondering, size 13. Obviously, this move to Nike is huge. I mean, it's huge. I mean, obviously, with Air being out right now, that movie, they're getting a lot of a plug. But for us to be able to put that swoosh on our chest, I'll cover up mine for right now as we transition. But it's an amazing 12 championships, amazing. New facilities, amazing. Is this rapid growth, this exponential growth, sustainable for the next couple seasons or for the foreseeable future?
Well, it has been sustainable for the last 4 years, right? And I think we keep growing every year, right? So and this year be no different. The numbers may look different because of the transformation process of tuition coming out late and some things from a holistic university transformation, right? But it's all going to be it's not one person's issue or department or whatever. We're one team, so collectively we're only as good as our weakest link, and whatever our weakest link is, we need a gap fill and stay together, right? So I mean, that's how you succeed. So during times of adversity, we need to come together. We don't need to spread apart. So I think this growth is sustainable. We have to look at data-driven information, right, to make changes. I love all of our departments, but what that means is that we all have to get better, including me, right? So, I have to get better each and every year. Our coaches have to get better. Our administrators have to get better. Our support teams have to get better. Our university has to get better. And it's not that we're bad. We're talking about going from good to great to having greater greatness, right? So I have this thing I call greater greatness, and greater greatness is when you are where you're among the greats, but you're greater than the greats because of your work ethic and all the things that you do, right? That's required to make you greater than the greats. And that's, when we're talking about, if we're talking about, basketball, that would be, LeBron James is in that stratosphere, right? Ronaldo is in that stratosphere, right? So, just Messi's in that stratosphere. It's, Tiger Woods is in that stratosphere, right? The greater greats. And that's what we're trying to do here at Westcliff Athletics, to be in that greater great category.
Sounds like you've spent the time to build the platform for that to happen. Obviously, it takes a strong team, which you put together. It takes buy-in, what it seems like everybody understands. And again, with this 5C moniker that we run and live by, I think that's really set the table for us to be even greater as we move forward.
Well, just look at, for example, look at our CRM. We have the ARMS program, which is a D1 program, right? 100%. So we have a D1 program. We're probably the only NAIA school that has the ARMS program. And we utilize that effectively because the way that I constructed our athletic department was, I built the infrastructure to be at a D1 level, right? So we can train up everybody so we don't have to stop and pause, right? And try to rebuild to get to each level, to get to D2, to get to D1, right? So we're already operating at a D1 level, right? We have enough student athletes, or we have more than some of our contemporaries, right, who are D1 in our athletic department, right? We have the same size athletes, right? And then, our compliance department is A1. We got everything where we need to be. So, so the reason why I built that infrastructure, so for us to grow inside of it, right? So we don't have to keep having this ebb and flow because of growth, is because growth is like pain. If you taking pain medication and you lapse on your pain medication and then you forget to take it, and then you start having pain and then you try to take the pain meds, they don't work, right? But if you stay in front of it, right, you don't feel all the pressures that you will feel with growth. So right now, even though we're feeling a little bit of pressure and people are feeling ambiguity because they feel uncertainty because they're in situations they never been in, it's far less drastic as it would be if I didn't have an infrastructure already in place to absorb all the things that they don't see, all the unforeseen things they don't see. And, so they don't understand right now that I'm training them for the D1 level, and for a sponsor, right, to look at us and give us a D1 deal, right, that is Nike on the top level, right, that lets you know where we're tracking and where they see us tracking. So that should answer a lot of questions for anybody not understanding where we're trying to head and where we're trying to go. So that should answer it in itself.
Absolutely. But sir, I do have one question, and this one is very important to our athletic department as a whole. One of the things that we've noticed as a staff is the kind of the how can like the athletic department as a whole do better to help support some of the departments that are short-staffed, primarily our athletic training staff, and how can we help them not feel overwhelmed? Because over this past season, we did have a few athletic trainers move on, come in middle, and then leave at the end of the season. What can we do to help them out for
Well,
this next year?
well, athletic trainers are a little um different, part of the business, because if you look at our staffing compared to the NAIA and some of our D1 contemporaries, like we have the biggest staff, or we had the biggest staff, right? And because we have been operating at a higher level, um, the gift and the curse is that your talent becomes a farm system for levels ahead of you, right, or higher than you. And for us, we lost some trainers to the D1 level, right? Which I'm ecstatic about that, because that's what we do, right? We develop talent for the next level. Like in a couple of weeks, you'll hear about, in the next couple of days, you'll hear about, some coaches that have been a part of our coaching tree that's made it to the D1 level, right? That's just what it is. I mean, we cannot stop D1 institutions for plucking away our talent. What we can do is try to backfill as much as possible, but it's kind of hard in that specialty, because as a whole, athletic trainers are scarce anyway. So, just as a whole, so normally either they're understaffed and overworked. And in our case was we had so much staff that the work was kind of balanced, but still wasn't up to the standards that we would like them to be, but way ahead of the industry. And then once we started losing people, because they, went to the next level of competition, which they should, right? They shouldn't feel guilty about taking their career to another level. I think we can do a better job of maybe prospecting those things, but at the end of the day, man, like you don't know what people want, right? If they don't tell you, right? So I mean, like I don't think it's a negative thing. All we did was, in essence, Chase, to be totally honest, was we had more than enough, and then we went to what everybody else has, and that was just enough, right? And sometimes not enough, right? And that's how they operate all the time. That's not how we operate all the time, right? So for us, this was foreign. For everyone else, that's normal. It'd be like one AT to like 5 or 6 teams, or 7 teams, or 13 teams if you look at it at community college. That's normal. They have 2 or 3 on staff. That's it. We had 6 at one time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we overcompensated. So then when everybody got plucked off, right, we went back to what the standards were to 2, right? Down to like 2. That's, if you look around, that's very normal. Providence Christian had none at all year long. Not an AT in sight. Matter of fact, we were their AT. We worked for them every time we played them twice. So every time we played them, right? So that's it. We don't like to be there. We're not going to seek any comfort. We got to get better in that area. Hopefully I answer that as honest as possible, but it wasn't because we didn't do something. Like our folks got promoted, man. Like how did them?
Absolutely. But I mean, I'm going to be honest, like during our busiest season, which was spring, I saw our 2 athletic trainers doing a lot of work, and they did it very well, but I could see it from their energy that it was taking a toll on them. And
Absolutely.
I was wondering from a support staff like me working the game day operations, what I could do to help. Now, granted, I can't do any of the, taping or other stuff because let's be honest, I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but I was just curious what we can do to help support them because yeah, I mean, industry standard, maybe there's 2 or 3 to an athletic department, but like we have a lot of student athletes and a lot of teams that, and so I was just wondering what there could have been to help them out during that.
It was some third party things in place, right? So we had, I mean,
Right.
what you're asking for was Moses come split the Red Sea. That wasn't happening, for anybody, right? But we did have a third party service, right, who struggled to keep us serviced, right? So we did everything. We maxed out all the things that we could do. So when you max out all the things you can do, then at Westcliff Athletics, all you can do is bite your bottom lip and swing, right? So we had to bite our bottom lip and we swung hard, and those individuals succeeded, and we got through it, right? It wasn't ideal, right? So I don't want to poo-poo it. So please don't think I'm poo-pooing what you're saying. It was tough sledding, right? But hey, tough people handle tough times, and that's what we had to do. But what I'm saying to you is, it's other departments in other institutions. That's normal for them. That's a one-off for us, right? That's normal for them. Like if we started the season that way, then I'd be like, yeah, we did a disservice. No, we got plucked off. People took opportunities. We got third party. We hired some people took off. Some people, decided they wasn't built for it, whatever the case may be. And we had a couple that get freaking warrior badges, right? For the badges of honor, right? And yes, it's a specialty and it has HIPAA regulations, so you can't just jump in. I just can't jump in, right? And we had a third party service and they failed us sometimes, they succeeded sometimes. It was just tough sledding. The great thing is we made it through. Okay, moving forward, what we can do is overhire, right?
And it seems like it's kind of the KPI for a successful athletic department. The fact that literally your best people are being plucked, like you said, whether it be coaches or students, student athletes, or even someone as simple as the AT. I think it kind of comes with that growth and that growth mindset. We don't have a lot of time left, so I have a couple more questions I'd love to get into if you got a few more minutes.
Yep, sure. And hopefully, Chase, you get that. And then one thing we did do, the last point, is that we raised the base salary for our ATs, right? So in order to attract more talent. And guess what? We're still struggling to attract that talent because not a lot of people are going to school to be an AT anymore. That's the unfortunate thing. They're going in the private sector when they can work for hospitals and insurances, companies, instead of working in athletics. And then they do that and feel like, okay, man, they're not a part of something. So then they come back. So it's a revolving door. But to your point, we will get better. I will vouch for that. I know we have the right people in place, and I know we have the right systems in place moving forward.
Thank you, sir. That's all I wanted to know because
we didn't sit on our hands and just watching people suffer. That's what I want you to know. We would never do that to our family.
We're all listening.
It felt like that though.
100%. Last question, and it's kind of a multi-part question, kind of important. A lot of changes to the CalPAC. Arizona teams seem to be leaving. There's going to possibly be an expansion that we're hearing in the rumor mill. How competitive of a league do you feel like the CalPAC will be this season? And do you find there's going to be more changes we should be prepared for as far as the CalPAC is concerned?
Well, this upcoming season is going to be competitive because all those teams can't leave. So they'll be here, right? So they'll be here for the most part, right? So they all coming back. They got to run it back. Everybody knows that winning is hard at any level. So ain't no win that's easy. All wins are hard. So I think the CalPAC is going to be good this upcoming year, and where it's going to be moving forward, who knows where it's going to be. I do hear about another league that's formalizing. We'll see if that happens. I mean, it's going to happen. Because teams are leaving, but we'll see how big it's going to be, what impact it'll have on the CalPAC. I'm not for sure what that looks like. For me, it's the reason why your windshield's bigger than your rearview mirror. I'm not looking back. We're looking forward. So we should make a transformation. When the transformation time comes, we should be in position because at Westcliff Athletics. We stay ready so we don't have to get ready, right? So we're already beating D2 competition and D1 competition. So, we already a big fish in a small pond anyway, right? So it's time for us to continue to make sure that, in order for a shark, to get bigger, you got to be in a bigger environment, right? We know that, right? So we just got to keep plugging away. So I think, this year we got to make sure we show everybody it's not a fluke. We're here to stay, and we'll dominate and hang some more banners. And then soon we get an opportunity to be in a situation that makes sense for Westcliff Athletics. If that's Calpac, great. If that's somewhere else, great. We'll make that happen. I think you guys have seen that my decision making and my openness and my willingness to be first in everything is not going to change, right? So that if it's an opportunity for us to get better and to be better, we'll do that. Our job is to beat whoever they put in front of us, right? Because there was a time when we wasn't doing that. So now we're there, so we got to do that, and that's the goal.
All right, Shawn, we talked about the some of the Calpac schools that left. Now, I just wanted to know a little opinion piece from you. So no political answers from you. I want to know your honest opinion about how satisfied are you with Westcliff Athletics, with how we've done so far in the 4 years that you've been here, and do you see yourself at Westcliff for the foreseeable future?
You talking about me personally? You talking about me?
I'm talking about you.
Are we talking about Cash App, or are we talking about practice? What are we talking about?
We're talking about both. We want to know everything.
That's a pretty cool commercial, though. If anybody's seen that Chase commercial,
Yep.
Right? That's pretty cool. I definitely like the part when Allen Iverson said, "We're not talking about practice," and then he was ecstatic. Hey, great question, Chase. Chase said, "Listen, hey, Shawn, I don't want no political question. I want you to answer this from your chest, like what's going on with Westcliff Athletics." I think first and foremost, I'm incredibly blessed, and I have an attitude of gratitude to be in a position to lead Westcliff Athletics. So I want to first preference my answer by saying that. In the same time frame, I have goals and aspirations as well, right? Like everyone. And right now, my goals and aspirations is to continue to lead Westcliff Athletics, right, to the highest level possible, for me. And that's the D1 level. And I said that from the beginning, I'm all in unless I see people that's over top of me, mainly my boss, or if we're in a position where it seems like we're not going after it anymore, right? That we're not looking to be the best version of ourselves as an athletics department, So right now, I believe even with some of the drastic changes, right? Because they have been drastic depending on what your level is, right? Where you are in the food chain determines how your perspective is. Everybody needs to acknowledge that, right? End users are normally the ones that get poo-pooed on. Let's be honest there, right? And in our athletics department, we may look at ourselves as the end users in a university, but trust me, like they have our back. Our CEO has our back. It is student athlete though, right? So academics is always going to come before athletics. That's just a part of it. Even though we know that we bring tremendous capital to our, our Title IV dollars and everything else. We know the intrinsic value we bring, but we are in the business of academics. So, Chase, I believe that, as long as we can continue to grow, I don't see why change it up. If we locked in, ain't no need to change it up, right? So, I mean, if we can stay locked in, and right now it seems like we're trying to be locked in, so I'm locked in. So right now my feet, my heart, and my mind is at the same place, So, have I had offers? Absolutely. I'm never gonna lie about those things, but I've had offers every year since I've been here, right? But it's something about what we're building is exciting. It's something about the folks that we have here that I work alongside of that are family. And it's something about doing things against the grain, against the norm, right? And being unorthodox in our thought processes in the way we go and attack things. And I think that we're operating athletics in such a way that should be copycatted by a lot of other institutions. And I think we're revolutionizing the way that sports is done through a virtual space, and we've been really successful about it. So that's my answer. That's my honest answer. Opportunity doesn't change my loyalty, even though I understand that that's not the environment that we're in, right? Good things take time. Everything is not microwavable, right? That's why they say cooked food is cooked food, right? It's a lot different. So yeah, although it's been some attractive things that has came across my path, I keep hurdling them things to be bought into what we have built from scratch and what we continue to do. And right now, Westcliff Athletics is a championship athletic department. Nobody can take that from us, right? We're a championship program. As long as we continue to conduct ourselves as such, I have no issues. But whenever I feel like I'm not the leader for the job, I definitely step to the side and move out the way, because I never want to be a hindrance to our success. But right now I'm locked in. I can't see another person doing it better than what I'm doing it under the circumstances, under the less resources. I don't get caught up in what I don't have. I get caught up in what I can create. And I'm happy. I'm happy with our performance as a whole. I know that was one part of your question. Am I happy with our performance? Yes. Am I content with where we are? No. Do I believe we can get better? Hell yeah is the answer to that. Hell yeah, we can get better. Can I get better? Hell yeah, right? Can we achieve that greater greatness that I'm talking about? Absolutely. And we should do that this year under the tightest situation we ever had. Like, we've never been put in a situation like this from the university in a shorter time frame to achieve anything. And we've never missed a goal, and I don't plan on missing one now, even though the circumstances saying that we got a lot of excuses we can give to miss it. We don't make excuses here, right? So the standard is the standard. So we're going to keep the 5C standard moving forward.
We don't make excuses, we make diamonds. And it seems like as an athletic department, you're mining diamonds and you're manufacturing them as well. The championships speak for themselves. We do really appreciate your time. I know it's a busy schedule that we try to break into, and we hope to do this again soon. But we just appreciate you taking the moment to really take some really hard questions. I mean, these were not softballs in any way. These are important to our student athletes' life, to our department's life, and everybody that is bought into our 5Cs and obviously the Westcliff moniker. We really appreciate your time and hope to do it again soon.
Yeah.
As always, I'd like to thank my co-host, SID Chase Dodge. Appreciate your help, brother. And our great producer, Brandon Peterson. Thank you for all that you do. I'm Will Smith, your assistant AD, and this has been Building Greatness, the Warrior Way. Oh, and don't forget, please subscribe wherever you download your podcasts, and please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us get the word out about our Warriors. Until next time, Westcliff family, what's family? Forget about me. I love you. Peace. Some opportunities and never come unless you paying attention, so no, I can't miss that moving. MVP, I got the record, I might have to prove something. Big jumper worthy, they gon' have